So we're talking about a massive update coming from Nigeria's Federal High Court today regarding the case of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. This is the man at the center of a huge national conversation. And what's happening right now could change the course of the entire case. The court has set a deadline for Kanu to enter his defense, or he may lose the right altogether. The deadline, it's today, November 5th, 2025. Now, if you've been following this case, you know this isn't the first time we've heard this sort of news, but this time the stakes feel incredibly high. Kanu has been charged with terrorism-related offenses, and the case has been dragging on for years. From his arrest and extradition from Kenya in 2021 to his prolonged detention, the entire situation has had political, legal, and social implications that have grabbed national and international attention. And today, the drama continues to unfold. You see, Nnamdi Kanu, who's been in court countless times, has continuously refused to open his defense in the trial. He's been dismissing his legal team, representing himself. And in doing so, he's caused a lot of confusion and frustration, both in the courtroom and among his supporters and critics. The court, led by Justice Omotosho, has been patient so far, giving Kanu several chances to defend himself. But now, Justice Omotosho has warned that if Kanu does not enter his defense by the end of the day, he could lose the opportunity entirely. The court would then consider the case closed and may move straight to judgment. And let's be clear, that could be disastrous for Kanu. The whole thing has been a roller coaster, and tensions are rising. Kanu and his team are still arguing that the charges against him are baseless, that the law he's being charged under doesn't even exist anymore. But the prosecution isn't backing down. They argue that Kanu has been stalling, using legal tactics to avoid defending himself because he knows the evidence against him is overwhelming. It's all coming to a head today, and that's why we're talking about this now. The case could go in any direction, and the consequences of today's decision will ripple out far beyond the courtroom. Now, let's break this down a bit more. Nnamdi Kanu is the face of IPOB, a group that's been calling for the secession of the southeastern region of Nigeria to form an independent state of Biafra. His calls for Biafran independence have made him a hero to many, particularly in the southeast of Nigeria, but they've also made him a target for the government, which sees IPOB as a dangerous, violent, separatist movement. The Nigerian government claims that Kanu's actions have caused untold suffering and disruption, and they argue that he should face justice for his crimes. But Kanu's supporters, they see him as a martyr, fighting for the rights of the Igbo people and the southeast region. The court drama is only the tip of the iceberg. The case has sparked widespread protests and debates across the country. On one hand, you have people who believe that Kanu should be punished for his actions. On the other, you've got his supporters who view his case as a fight for justice and freedom. But what's really interesting is how this case has evolved over time. At first, it seemed like Kanu's legal battle was just another high-profile case. But now, it's become a symbol of something much larger: the ongoing struggle for self-determination, identity, and justice in Nigeria. The outcome of today's hearing could determine the fate of IPOB's future, and it could send a message to the Nigerian government about how far they're willing to go to maintain control over the country's regional movements. Today's hearing is going to be one of those pivotal moments in history. If Kanu is allowed to continue his defense, we could be looking at more delays, more legal back and forth. But if the court moves to judgment without him, we could see a verdict that many believe will have far-reaching implications for Nigeria's democracy and the rule of law. It's not just about one man. It's about the broader question of how the Nigerian state deals with movement seeking change, how it balances national security with individual rights, and how it navigates its complex web of ethnic and regional divisions. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, what happens if Kanu loses today? Well, if Kanu fails to enter his defense by the end of today, then the court may decide to move forward without him. It's a high-risk situation for him. The prosecution could then present its case fully, and the court could move straight to judgment. And we all know how that could go. A guilty verdict could lead to even harsher sentences, more tension, and more division in the country. But there's a twist. If the court rules against Kanu, we could see a massive outcry from his supporters, protests, backlash. This case has already caused significant unrest in the southeast, and a guilty verdict could escalate things even further. We may see protests not only in Nigeria, but also abroad. This case has drawn the attention of international human rights organizations, and how the court handles Kanu's rights could be used as a measuring stick for how Nigeria treats its political dissidents. So, what can we expect from here? Well, we have to wait and see what happens today in court. But one thing is for sure. No matter what the court decides, this is far from over. Kanu's supporters will keep pushing for his release, for his acquittal, and for the cause of Biafra to stay alive. On the other hand, the Nigerian government will keep trying to quash those calls for independence, no matter the cost. And if this trial ends with a guilty verdict, we could see new developments on the political and legal front, possibly even international implications. The outcome of today's hearing is just the beginning of a much larger conversation about Nigeria's future. What does it mean to be Nigerian? How do we balance national unity with the right of people to fight for their autonomy and identity? These are questions that will echo long after the courtroom clears today. If you're following this case, I want you to stay tuned because there's a lot more coming your way. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on any updates. We're going to keep watching this closely, and I'll be right here to bring you the latest. Let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen today. Do you think Kanu should be given another chance to defend himself, or is it time for the court to move forward with judgment? We'll keep the conversation going. And as always, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll see you in the next update.